First of all, thank you very much for joining me here today. Who are London Welsh Rugby Club?
London Welsh Rugby Club are a historic rugby club.
London Welsh was the natural place for any Welshman coming to London.
I believe is an extension of the Welsh family outside of the country of Wales.
A sort of, if you like, oasis for Welshmen within the sort of city of London.
You know, it's the fans, it's the people behind the rugby club, it's the players, it's the cults, it's everything.
So it's quite a special rugby club.
Some of the players that have played for this club back in the day, British and Irish Lions, etc.
So back in January 2017, they were completely liquidated as a club.
It felt like that could be the end.
We've had our life, we've only got two, we've had one, this is it now, we're on our last life. The game's over if we mess up this time. I think the key things about London Welsh are the fact that it's a club that was formed by exiles in the 1880s, 1885, and it was formed in North London and it moved over to here in the 50s. And since then, it's sort of really been quite famous in Welsh rugby. Actually, it was famous in Welsh rugby even in its incarnation in North London. We've had some great players here.
Very quickly, you are very aware of the sort of history here and a little bit of the sort of responsibility that you then carry forward with you by being a member and being a player here.
Very different times back then, of course, because we were all amateurs and we all had, not sinecures, proper jobs. I mean, I was a school teacher, most of the guys were, but we did sort of come up with this remarkable situation where we provided a third of the British Lions, not just the Welsh team. We very often had 6 or 7 in the Welsh team, and we had 7 on that Lions tour, but 5 of us played in all the tests, and we were sort of the Manchester United of rugby in a way, because we were lauded for our style as well. Everyone loved to watch London Welsh play.
It's a huge deal that 7 Lions all came from one club. I think you hear that and you almost know all you need to know about London Welsh, right? And it doesn't happen so much anymore. One, there are a lot more clubs, and your Galacticos, I suppose, that's how you call them, spread across different regions, different provinces. So to have so many Welsh players there, not just playing for a club, playing for their country, that's something pretty special, and I think something the club will always hold in high regard.
But because of the success of the Lions and Wales, there we were actually with our idols from Manchester United. I mean, I got to know George Best and Bobby Charlton really quite well, and absolutely thrilled. And it was even more thrilling to know that they knew of us.
I've grown up watching rugby week in, week out with my parents. It's like they've always been in the Championship, there's times in the Premiership. So growing up, it's very much a club that when you're growing up at a club that you're aware of, yeah.
That was a really special time in my career. So I keep on saying this to everybody as well. It was probably the most enjoyment I had within a team, within making new friends, being up in London, which is quite special anyway, and being closer to my mum. I think it was a really special time, and then, being able to put that shirt on, and when you go to the John Doe suite, you just see who's put that shirt before you. So very special, and for me, it's if I'm looking through my whole career, the time here was the best time I had.
London Welsh are the Green King IPA Championship winners. Premiership rugby awaits, and the Welsh Exiles will once again dine at Club Rugby's top table.
Unfortunately, there were quite a few problems financially for the club.
Heddiw, collodd y byd rygbi garfan hanesyddol yng Nghymru Llundain, gyda'r tîm wedi cicio allan o rygbi proffesiynol gan yr RFU.
I just can't believe that a club with the amount of history, the amount of standing of London Welsh now ceases to exist. The RFU need to step in or this is going to happen to so many other English clubs.
Sad news from West London today, as London Welsh will no longer be allowed to compete in the Championship. It's the end of the road for this professional side, and only time will tell if we'll hear from these exiles ever again.
Oh, but I'm absolutely devastated, to be honest. They'll always have that record of having 7 Lions in one tour, but I don't even know if I'll ever see them play 7 games of top flight rugby again, let alone what's happening in the immediate future,
So back in January 2017, they were completely liquidated. They failed to convince the RFU that they had a viable plan, a strong financial footing, and therefore weren't granted their permanent licence. So a desperately sad day, not just for the players, but all the staff there too.
And that was a real stab in the heart for the club, because it felt like that could be the end. And, you know, it had been so amazing to see the team rise to the Premiership, but then to think that it could all just go away because of something that had happened, which to a lot of the members of the club was outside of their control, and it was quite upsetting because nobody really saw it coming, and you kind of always think you would see something like that coming and that you'd get hints that this was about to happen, and it was a real shock when it did happen.
Yeah, there was a lot of good people that went through a lot of hard times, very hard times. And we're lucky that those tough people stayed in the club as well to be able to rebuild it. Yeah, it was never nice seeing any club go into the wall. If it's a club you've represented in the past, it hurts a little bit more. If it's a club that's is aligned to Wales, or anything that has anything Welsh in it, again, that hurts. So I guess it was really tough here, and it was tough to see it from outside as well.
There was a very different level of club with the professional arm compared to the amateur arm. So the amateur arm, a lot of people think it was London Welsh of old that collapsed, but the London Welsh that went professional was a very different club, because the amateurs just continued on from where the amateurs had started in 1885, which is why we owned all of the jerseys, etc., etc., etc. The professionals used to rent this pitch off us every week because of the way the club had been set up. So when people say London Welsh was dropped down to the bottom leagues, that's actually incorrect. London Welsh was actually kicked out of the leagues. Professional was kicked out of the leagues completely. What happened was the amateur that had always been playing in those lower leagues just carried on where they'd left off, and then took on the mantle, if you like, or picked up the banner of the fallen warrior of London Welsh professionals and carried on running with it.
And the club decided that they wanted to push to the national, so 4 promotion in 5 seasons. Sonny was with the pros, and then he came across to the amateur side, and then at that point Sonny said, "Oh, do you want to come on a journey?" And it's been a hell of a journey. So inherited a squad, all amateurs. Hadn't had the chance because I was still playing at that point. Still didn't have a chance to see who was playing, what type of side. So first session was down in pools in the park, collecting glass off the floor first to get the pitch nice and safe. And it was a massive learning curve. Yeah, it was good. We had good times as well, which is most important.
So when we presented the 5-year plan, at the time Gwyn was chair, I think it gave everyone a lot of hope. So people that had because there was an expectation of London Welsh to always be elite, people that had, if you like, been dismayed by the fact that we'd dropped so low in the league structure, within a year they suddenly realised that the club was actually the same, if not better than it was, because we'd gone back to the origins of playing at ODP, having a choir in the bar, everyone being able to drink with the players and go back to that old-fashioned way of playing rugby. It was a tragedy in a way. It would have been great to have a Premiership representation for London Welsh, but I don't think we ever lost the essence of the club. So I think while we lost some status in that sort of term of having a Premiership badge, we've still kept our status as one of the best places to be on a Saturday. So I think from my perspective as chair now, I look at it as being almost a very sad thing on one hand, but a blessing on the other, because we've actually ended up with the club that we've got today.
journey since then has been fantastic. I mean, because I think it, in some ways, the way the RFU reacted made us more determined. Say, you know, we're bigger than this. We can survive this.
Yeah, exactly. It was realised it was quite exciting. With the previous club I was at, we were struggling. We had a relegation battle that season. We stayed up, and that was thing. And sort of going from that to a lot of lows to then going to a club. And I think the first season that I came to, we lost 3 games in that whole season. Got promotion again. So sort of having that experience of another great promotion, because not actual many players actually get a promotion, and when you get a club of having 3 or 4 promotions on the bounce, it's unheard of. So I quite enjoyed that season of winning more than we were losing.
We've had loads of promotions before, and it was like promotion. And I think last season was the first season where I've been at the club where we kind of like, actually, we've hit almost like a plateau.
Probably the biggest step up we had, probably 30 to 40% harder, bigger, stronger, harder. We haven't had it in years, so we were steamrolling players. Where you learn is at losses, and when your dark moments are coming in, you'll know, hang on, this is not the right direction.
If you want to be successful, these are the things that we did last season where actually it may have not been successful on the pitch, off the pitch, whatever. We can change it, and these are the things, knowing what happened last season, that we can do this season.
With just a couple of little changes, maybe in the coaching style, which Cai's talked about, changing some of the things in the coaching style, a couple of changes to getting in a few forwards with a bit more power, if you like, and the size, just to make sure that we've got enough. Because some of the games that we lost last season were purely because we ran out of personnel. So those are the changes we're looking to make to bolster the squad, to recompense the players so that players don't miss training because they can't afford the fare in the week because they've had a particularly tough week or a tough month. But at the end of the day, we're going to do it sustainably.
I think there will be a day when we all hear London Welsh's name in, you know, playing European rugby, playing Premiership rugby, hearing big, fantastic names in the world of rugby coming to London Welsh to play for them.
It's not as easy as we want to get there, this is how we're going to get there. I think there's so many moving parts. The game's constantly changing. The landscape of rugby is changing.
They've got a brand, they've got an identity. I think there are probably a lot of professional clubs right now that are maybe doing a bit better at a higher level that don't have that identity London Welsh had. And I think the fact they already had that amateur side in existence has been a huge part of this, which I know Wasps have as well, and perhaps, you know, there's a road back for a club like Wasps.
The question actually is more about, do we think that's where we should be? And having learnt from the past, is that what we want to be doing? Do we want to aim for that? Because we know that as a club, getting to that level, we can't play here. We'd leave our home again, which didn't help the whole situation. And also looking at the likes of some of the other professional clubs now and how many problems there've been, might we be better saying, actually, we will find a level and that will be it, and that we're not wanting to be a Premiership side again.
So I think at the current time, where you've got clubs at level 4 and level 5 putting more money in than some clubs at level 1, or not level 1 but level 3 and level 2, I don't think there is a chance of us getting into that top level of Premiership rugby again. Rugby could change. It could become a much cheaper sport to be able to attain the top levels. You could end up with the WRU looking for a London region, which I'm not saying that's ever going to happen, but if they did decide that they wanted to do something for the Exiles because of the Welsh sort of living in England, if we become the centre of that, yeah, we could reach the top level. But in our current format, with the current facilities, etc., I'd say National 1 is probably the height we're going to seeding out at.
The really important thing for me is that we build the club as a place where Welshmen coming to London want to play their rugby.
It's encouraging to know there are enough, I guess, good people who are so committed to the game, who are really driving this forward, because that's what it all comes back to, really, isn't it? It's the people who love the club and love the game.